There are those who will see and say, see what the Americans did, and they will try to use it to justify evil actions or incite more violence. We can't prevent that, but history will judge us by our commitment to a just society governed by law and the willingness to face an ugly truth and say never again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dianne Feinstein. She was on the floor of the Senate for a good part of an hour or more, point by point, as she read from the report that was released by the Senate Democrats today, taking the whole enhanced interrogation program and particularly and specifically the CIA to great task, and specifically and particularly our next guest, General Michael Hayden, former head, of course, of the NSA and the CIA. General, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Sure, Steve.
All right. As you were watching Dianne Feinstein, read these specifics and bringing you up, and we'll get to the specifics of what she said about you, what's going through your mind during that point?
Well, you mentioned she was going through things very, very specifically and particularly, and I should add, very selectively. This was her taking a 5-year look at 6 million documents, costing you $40 million with an army of contractors, and finding data points that support what I think all of us are pretty convinced was a preordained conclusion, that the program was wrong in concept, wrong in management, and wrong in that it was not successful in gaining information. And, you went through a mountain of data and you pulled out the data that supported your hypothesis. Steve, everyone needs to wait and make a fair judgment after the CIA rebuttal to this report comes out. And see, let me emphasize, the Barack Obama's CIA's rebuttal to this report, as well as the minority report from the Republicans on the committee.
This report did not speak to any CIA interrogators, did it?
It didn't speak to anyone currently or formerly employed by the Central Intelligence Agency.
Why was that, as far as you know? Were you not available? Were they not available?
No, none of us were asked. It wasn't a question of being available. The cover story that they're using is that there was a congressional investigation and therefore they could not get people to talk. Now, the congressional investigation ended in August of 2012, and last time I checked, Steve, we're in December of 2014. So you had 2 more years to double-check your work if you wanted. But even at the time, Director Panetta's word to the committee, to the Democrats on the committee, was simply, because of the justice investigation, I will not compel anyone to talk. But others were free to talk if they liked. John Rizzo, who was the CIA lawyer when I was there, John voluntarily testified to the other Intel committee on the House side about the destruction of the videotapes during this very same period. So I just can't come up with a good reason why they didn't talk to people.
General, did you lie to the committee in 2006, I believe September of 2006, the entire committee when you spoke to them?
No, would be the straightforward and simple answer.
Did you ever lie? Did you ever lie to that committee?
Of course not. Look, first of all, it's a felony. A couple other points to be made, Steve. All right? That briefing took place because Mike Hayden and the agency wanted it to take place. This was our work in the summer of 2006 to convince the administration that we had to brief the entire committee on the entire detention and interrogation program. And so I asked you, so I'm fighting within the administration, CIA is fighting in the administration, to get an audience to Congress so we can lie to them?
So when Dianne Feinstein today says you lied, is she lying?
I'll go so far as to say she's incorrect. I mean, lying is intentionally misleading someone, all right? Let me make another distinction. Telling people something they don't want to hear is not the same thing as telling people something that is untrue.
All right, General, stay where you are. We're coming right back here. One more segment with General Michael Hayden responding to the release of the so-called torture report, which the media is running wild with that term. We're coming back. Don't go away. All right, folks, we're back with General Michael Hayden, of course, former head of the NSA and the CIA, responding to some of the remarks made by Dianne Feinstein earlier today as she read from the CIA report on enhanced interrogation on the floor of the Senate. General, thanks for sticking around. Is it true that George W. Bush, the president at the time, did not know about the full extent of the enhanced interrogations until April of 2006, as far as you know?
No, President Bush has written in his own autobiography that he approved the use of waterboarding, and that took place in 2002. So that flies in the face of that kind of statement. So I'll stick with what President Bush said he knew when.
Was information withheld, as far as you know, from Colin Powell, Donald Rumsfeld, and other members of the administration?
Well, keep in mind, I came to the agency in May of 2006.
Right.
I certainly didn't withhold information from them. By that time, Secretary Powell was long gone. Secretary of State then was Condi Rice. And as we were refurbishing the program, I had personal, frequent conversations with the Secretary of State about the appropriate way forward.
Okay, so he was aware, the Secretary of State at the time?
I defer to people who were there. I'm not, if you want me to give you my instinct, my answer is, of course. But I'm an intel guy. I'd rather be fact-based. I wasn't there, so I won't say.
Dianne Feinstein said that after reading the notes, the accounts of Abu Zubaydah's interrogation, that it differed greatly. That it turned out that your testimony on the treatment of Abu Zubaydah was inaccurate and incomplete and deceptive. Is that true?
I don't think so. I don't know why I would go there to try to be inaccurate, incomplete, or deceptive in front of my oversight committee. I can tell you that what I laid out is what the agency believes to be true. And Steve, let me add, what I laid out is what the agency will say was true in its reports today. And so, again, you've got President Obama, the CIA, saying, we stick by our story.
She said that not a single case of intelligence was gained that was useful in thwarting a plot. Either that plot did not exist or that plot was not a threat to the U.S. She said the use of EITs, the actionable intelligence, was otherwise available. In other words, it was otherwise available in other ways, and no information obtained through the use of these enhanced techniques led to any significant breakthroughs or thwarting of any plots. Is that true?
That is so untrue that to state it actually defies human comprehension. We detained about 100 people. We had a Home Depot-like warehouse of information from those people. We continually referred to that information. We could go back to detainees. Every analyst I ever spoke to, and by the way, when I spoke to my first analyst, I now have spoken to more than the committee spoke to in preparing this report. Every analyst I spoke to understood and indicated to me the importance of the information we got from this program.
She said that the use of the EITs regularly resulted in fabricated information, and the CIA knew it. Was it were they making things up? These detainees telling you inaccurate information, and the CIA knew it and didn't fess up, or is that not true? Also,
well, Steve, you've got somebody who, even after the use of enhanced techniques in which he's more cooperative, doesn't suddenly turn into a flag-waving loyal American citizen. There's information that they still want to protect, information they are less free about giving. In fact, if the senator would check my testimony, I actually said the EITs were not the most important tool we had in getting good information from the detainees. I actually said the most important tool we had was our knowledge, because we knew what they were telling us was true or not true, or believable or not believable, and can fit that little tidbit that they thought they could give up without harm. We could fit that little tidbit in a larger, complex picture.
So overall,
an awful lot of that. So wait, no, hang on.
Go ahead.
I need to make the point.
Yeah.
She said that they lied and we knew it. Well, good for us. That's what we're supposed to do, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that is a good point. Overall, your assessment of what you heard today.
It is a one-sided prosecutorial brief against the men and women of the Central Intelligence Agency. It is a trial and a verdict rendered in absentia, since the agency's folks did not have a chance to talk to anyone who formed the committee report. They were denied a defense, and it's as if the discovery process of evidence that should go to both sides
General,
did not exist, and no one could challenge the alleged evidence.
General, thank you so very much. General Michael Hayden, really appreciate it. Ralph Peters is next, folks.